So today, guys, I have a build for you. We know we have a new project, the throwback event, and this one probably is one of the harder manhunts to complete, especially if you're trying to do on the hardest difficulty, heroic, and you want to have any type of directives. I actually put 3 on for this one, and the build I have is something that I used in the past when I did this mission initially. I did make a couple little changes, but the great thing about this is you're going to see a build that isn't even fully maxed out because this is on my PC account. A lot of the roles can be improved a little bit. I could actually farm better mods. So it's a build that's gonna allow you to not only beat the Marauders at the very beginning, even beat the boss at the end. And it's gonna give you the survivability to run through the rest of the mission pretty quick. So that's what I like about it. The build is exactly how I would run it. And you can see the damage, we're sitting about 455k crits. Not crazy, but the survivability is what's there. We're sitting at 1.8 million armor on this build, just to give you guys a heads up of how much armor we have on this build. And we're still able to drop most of these dogs fast. We were able to drop that pretty quick. I think we finished the mission in about 20 minutes. No speed run there, but if you want the survivability to not have to make sure you're playing perfect, this build, I think, works great. And you guys can mess with it, adjust it, play with it, do whatever you guys need to do. But yeah, again, this is my build. That was the first section. This is the second section where you're fighting the final boss. We were able to drop him too. I was hitting him for almost 789,000 crits. And that's because we had the full stack on our bag. So there you go. You saw initially what we were hitting before, what we're hitting now. So just something for you guys to keep in mind. The damage will depend on how many stacks you have on the build itself. But overall, man, I'm loving it. I like what we're doing with the build, and we're able to drop the final boss too. Now, not only that, not only are we able to drop the final boss, going through the mission, you know, there's some sections where it gets a little bit crazy with the EMP, everything. But this is what I really like, having this. Look, every time I kill one of these guys, I was getting bonus armor, and they just couldn't kill me. So that also helped with getting through the mission very quick, because you're gonna get through sections of this mission where you have EMPs, where you have drones, where you have missiles coming in, and you have to worry about it all. But having the type of build I had made it pretty simple, right? So hopefully when we break this down for you guys enjoy it enough that you guys share with friends if you guys are struggling at all. Now, all the pieces are pretty easy to get. If you need any of the exotic pieces, well, hopefully you did any of the other manhunts, because they were the one exotic piece I used was actually available in one of the throwback events. So hopefully you guys had it. You guys been playing these events. That's the point of playing these events. But yeah, so this is going to be the build. If you guys have any questions, use the comment section down below. And if you guys could do me a favor, leave a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe to this channel if you enjoy Division content, because we cover a lot of Division related content right here on this channel. All right, guys, let's get into the build, because I know you guys are already ready for what's to come. So here we go. So we are going to be running with the Kingbreaker. Now, my Kingbreaker does have 20% expertise on it. If you don't have expertise level on yours, even if you're at 10, you should be good. It's still going to work pretty well. I did this build back when I didn't have any expertise, and it still worked. And I just, obviously, as time went on, I leveled up my Kingbreaker. We have assault rifle health damage, and you want to get that damage to targets out of cover on there. And obviously, perfect flatline amplifies weapon damage by 20% to pulse enemies. So the way we're going to be pulsing enemies is because we are going to be using the link laser pointer. We do have crit chance on the scope. We have a sturdy extended mag for 20 rounds. And then we have the muzzle flash hider 7.62 on there. So exactly how you guys kind of want to go with this one. For the secondary, you can see I just have this weapon right here. It's just to level it up, just to get the expertise up. Doesn't matter. You can run whatever you guys want. If I were gonna do this traditionally, probably we'll put something like maybe the Scorpio, but again, I'm just using the Kingbreaker. Now, you are gonna want to be able to use the link laser pointer. You're gonna need the technician class, but also what this works great against is, you know, those robot dogs. You're gonna gain damage because of the way this specialization works. It does give you bonus damage to those robotic dogs, so that's why it's kind of good. So for the mask, we have the Cheska mask. We have 10% crit chance. We have weapon damage, crit chance. You can see nothing perfect on here, but we do have protection from elites. You do want to stack protection from elites on this build. For the chest piece, we have the closer chest piece. Is going to give us 5% total armor. We have armor on here. We have crit damage, crit chance, and then again protection from elites. Why do we have the closer chest piece? Because it has perfect spotter, amplifies total weapon damage and skill damage by 20% to pulse enemies. So this works great, gives us armor, plus it gives us some really good damage with perfect spotter. For our holster, we're going with the improvised holster. The reason why is because this is the only holster that's gonna allow us to add a mod slot. So we have armor, we have crit damage, crit chance, and then I went for 12% protection from elites. This is gonna give us that survivability to be able to survive when we need to. Now for the knee pads, we went with the improvised knee pads. We have armor on here, we have crit chance, crit damage, and we have 12% more protection from elites. So more protection from elites, armor rolled on these pieces. This is gonna give you that survivability that you really need on the build. For the gloves, we have the Walker and Harris. We have armor, crit chance, and crit damage. Again, we have another armor piece. You can see we're sitting at 1.8 million armor, and we're able to survive mostly anything. And we get additional 5% weapon damage. Now for the backpack, I went with the Memento backpack. This gives us an additional blue core. So we have 5 blues, 2 reds with a 50% weapon damage, and then a skill tier. And then we have protection from elites. Now, why is this good? Well, it's not really gonna help us in the very beginning of the mission. As you guys notice, you guys won't. But as the mission goes on, you're gonna be able to stack up those, and you're gonna be able to fight those drones, shoot those drones down, get a chunk of armor, be able to tank because of the amount of protection from elites and bonus armor you have. So remember, for every one we pick up, we're gonna get 10% bonus armor for every blue core. That's 50% bonus armor on the build at 1.8 million. A lot of bonus armor getting there. We're getting 10% weapon damage and then 5% skill efficiency. Now, once we have a full stack, if we can get that by the time we get to that final boss, that's gonna be 30% weapon damage, 30% skill efficiency, and 3% armor regen, which is great, which you will be able to get that full stack by the time you make it, Tim. But at the beginning, you're not really feeling it, but you will feel it after you finish that first fight. Now, I always go with the Reviver Hive, and then since we do have so much bonus armor, having the shield is gonna help us out a lot, 4.6 million. Remember, this is gonna be a tier 6 shield, so why wouldn't you have that on there? Just extra survivability you're getting on a build that already has a lot, and it's great, especially for that first fight. If we look at the stats, you'll notice we're sitting at 52% crit chance, 103% crit damage, 75% headshot damage. We have 10% damage sharks out of cover because of the Kingbreaker. Then we have 21% health damage. And then if we go over to you can see almost 1.8 million armor. And then right here, we'll have 3% armor regen once we're at full stacks. But this is really the big part right here. 60% protection from elites, and that's why this build works good against the final boss, and then also works against that boss in the middle. Both of these is really good. I personally like this build for this setup. It gives me the survivability, lets me take my time, 1.8 million armor, and I'm still able to get through the mission pretty quick. Now, if you guys want to drop the armor a little, you go ahead, try it out, test it out how you like it. But again, 60% protection from elites is kind of what you want on the build. And that is the build right there, guys. Remember, secondary, you can put whatever you want. I was just kind of leveling up whatever I have. Currently, I'm leveling up, what was I leveling up? The Harvest. So the Harvest should actually be on there, right? So this is kind of the build I run for that. Very solid build. I think you guys will enjoy this one. I'll see you guys in the next one, but hopefully you guys enjoy this. Hey, nothing but skills out.